Always remember, your focus determines your reality. Stay close to me, and you'll be safe.
Yo, how are we all doing today? Hopefully you guys are doing pretty good out there. Today's video, I wanted to go over my list of 10 best teams in the game. This list is going to be without having and including any Galactic Legends, so if you guys are like, oh, this is going to be having some Galactic Legends in it, well, it's really not. And there's not much in here that's talking about reasons behind why you should, get it because of the Galactic Legends. It's really just based in these 10 teams, just about their performance in nearly every game mode in the game, and talking a bit about how accessible they are to you in the game as well. Free to play, you got to spend some money. Are they pretty heavy on the gear, whatnot? So we're going to go into really everything in here. So there's going to be 10 of these, and hopefully I don't spoil these as I'm going into the list, because it might get spoiled. So don't look if you guys want to. Yeah, some little teasers there. Yikes. I guess there are some teasers. So my last month's video I did on this, it was kind of just going about, a different way around, the ranking of these in the game. I think it was more about, the counter abilities in GACs and more about Grand Arena focused type of teams. But this one's more about taking a step back and just talking about them in general. So that's what this list is going to be about. And again, there's no GLs in here, so don't worry about that, guys. I got you. So first things up, I don't want this to be a huge, long 30-minute video, but I do want to explain some of these teams pretty in-depthly, I guess you could say. So first things first is the JTR Resistance team. This team is great in, first off, TB. This team can get you a lot of good waves done. And this is going to most of the time, be fairly easy to handle and beat waves in for the TB rather. You can always toss out Poe and toss in 3PO. That's not bad. I usually do that myself, just to get more turns off, some TM control, and some more reduced to the cooldowns with 3PO's basic, right? But this team, outside of the TB, is also pretty dang good. This is our number 10, by the way. And it's on the bottom of the list because, yeah, it can beat some pretty strong teams. I think if you were to toss out an R2 and toss in a 3PO, this can beat some gases, and it can beat some Darth Revans. And if you don't want to use 3PO and you want to save 3PO for a Rebel team, well, you can use this team we have here, and you can beat a lot of different stuff on the offensive. The power behind the bros here is pretty significant. These guys can deal and dish out some major damage, and they're nothing to mess around with. And then you have a JTR who is very, very durable with her taunt. She can have a lot more evasion, some more foresight, and just all-around annoyance for you, even on defense in GAC and TW. So this is a great team in the game, great in TBs, get you some good waves, and also great in GAC and TWs. Not really going to be used in arenas as much. So there you go, number 1. Number 2 is Grievous. So Grievous is number 8 here on this list. The next one we got here to show you the biggest reason why I like Grievous right now is not just because he's super essential in the Dark Side Geonosis territory battle, but also he is so great right now. I'm telling you, I know it's 3v3 right now, but when we go back to 5v5, Grievous is one of the most impactful teams to have on offense in 5v5 GAC. This guy can beat so many different things for you, especially if you have some relics on, a Magna Guard or even a B2 along with your Grievous and B1. These guys are some of the most, offensively based teams in the game. They can beat a lot of different stuff in the game. I think I've seen these guys actually beat a non-ultimate Sith Eternal Emperor before, and that alone goes to show you how powerful these guys are, especially with the TM gain on the Grievous's lead. So you have you have those counter potentials. You have him being actually not just the Emperor, but also Mash Luke lead teams in arenas. And then also you got that usability in the territory battles where he's actually being needed and required in some of those missions. So all around, Grievous is a great team. He is really bad on defense. So many teams beat him, although maybe you get some holds with him. Most of the time, he just gets one shot, at least by my Grievous. So that's why I would push to have him being used on offense more so. So Grievous, great wins on offense, especially important in the territory battles. And also he's got a Malevolence, so I mean he's one of the best for the fleet as well. Next up here, we got the Bounty Hunters. Bounty Hunters are on this list for number 8. Did I do that right? This is 10, 9, 8. I think I might have missaid something, misspoke, whatever. I'm being kind of weird right now. Anyways, Bounty Hunters, number 8. So number 8 is Bounty Hunters because these guys are fairly easy to acquire, and they take not crazy amounts of gear from what I remember. So you got that going for you, but also how easy they are and the effort you put into them and what they can, put out for you. Well, they can beat a lot of stuff in GACs. They can beat some Padmes if you have a different leadership, like or a Sing leadership. You can beat some Grievuses we just saw. You can beat some potential, if you have modded properly, some Darth Revans and some other top teams in the GACs as well. These guys are great for high banner wins, and if you have it modded properly with the right turn orders, these guys can do a lot of great things for you. So you got that for you, and then of course the territory battle type of stuff. They're okay, nothing too great. If you have other teams here built, then I would say push for those instead of the Bounty Hunters. They're not as useful anymore, but definitely in JC and TWs, these guys are a staple for countering some pretty strong teams. I wouldn't say to the extent of countering a Galactic Legend because they can't really do that, but really a lot of other teams that are below that they can beat. I've seen them beating some Gasses, Darth Revans, and whatnot, and Grievuses like we just mentioned. So they're great mostly for their counter potential in GAC, although they can be pretty good on defense if you have them, with the right turn orders and whatnot. Very, very strong of a team, guys. So Bounty Hunters, number 8. Number 7 here, we have Padme. So if you guys have been watching myself and my channel for a while, I love Padme. I still do. They just aren't that useful. I mean, they are still pretty useful, but they're not as great as they used to be. There's been a lot of other new teams in the game being added in, and she kind of just keeps falling down and down and down in these lists, right? So right now, with her being number 7, where is she being used and why is she number 7? Well, number 7 because mainly her territory battle usefulness in the light side GOTB. She is required in some of those missions. In that first wave special mission, and then just, going further from that, she's great in those other missions, especially with Shock T. If you guys have Shock T, I could actually say you could slot her in here, instead of like a Barriss Offie. Shock T is equally as important, I would say, as Padme is for just being character alone for the TBs, because Shock T gets you some cam shards as well with some other clones. So you got that. Padme is great in the TB. She can get you a lot of waves. And also in GACs and TW, she can counter a lot of stuff. A lot of non-GL teams she can counter. She can counter Darth Revans if you have it modded properly. She can counter Gas. She can mirror match. She can do Grievuses. She can beat a lot of stuff, guys. So that's why she's on this list. She is still a very strong offensive team, but also defensively, she's a very, very strong team. She pulls some counters, and she just makes it a bit tougher for you on that sort of stuff, in GACs in particular. And also, while we're talking about it, the General Kenobi is part of this, so he's even that much better in this whole list of things for being number 7 in this list. That Negotiator is the best ship in the game for fleet. So there you go, number 7. Next up here, a little spoiler there. Next up here is number 6 on this list, and that's going to be the Imperial Trooper. So initially, I had the Padme and Troopers flipped, but as I was talking with more people and as I was thinking it over, I do think that these guys are going to be a bit higher than Padme just because of how much easier they are to farm. Most of these guys, their gear can be a bit of a pain, but they're nothing too crazy like these new guys like the Beskar Mando, IG-11, and Queels. Those guys are crazy. These ones are not as bad. So we got that going. They're pretty easy to get and farm for their shards. But other reasons why is that they are so dang good in, assault battles, territory battles, and just being able to just auto things, right? But also, on the flip side of that, for like GACs and more like PvP focused things, these guys can beat a lot right now, a lot, especially with Admiral Piet. You toss him in, and this whole team is transformed into something totally new and different, and it's so awesome to see. So these guys can counter Sith Eternal Emperors. They can beat up on, Bounty Hunters, Night Sisters. They can beat up on Grievuses. They can beat up on sometimes Darth Revans, sometimes other really strong teams in the game. Pretty much these guys are, once you toss in Piet, they give you like free banners, and they're going to be max banners in a lot of these different modes. I know we just talked about assault battles, but I want to go back on that point. There's, I think, 2 of them in the game right now for assault battles that require the troopers. I think one of them is the Rebel Roundup with the Bounty Hunters, and also these guys. And then the other one is the Ewok Hunt. So you have 2 assault battles. If you get these guys built up to a usable level like I have, you can get those done easy. You get some more gear every single time that comes around. And then also, you know, we just talked about it. Great for countering a lot of different teams in the game. And these guys are crazy guys. So much firepower, so much stacking offense, speed, and turn meter. They are very, very powerful. So that's them. They're number 6 on this list. Nothing too crazy there, I'd say. This one might surprise you, though. I think on my last list last month, since we were talking more about Grand Arena and whatnot, these guys were so much more, you know, high on the list, like so crazy high. They were, I think, number 1 on this list for last month when we were more about GAC focused. But this month, since it's not GAC focused, I'm gonna step it back a little bit and just talk about their usability all over the place. So that's what we're doing today. They're number 5 here. They're in the middle because they're very niche in the countering to the GLs. They can beat all GLs. Vader can beat all GLs, right? But that's really his only great, huge use in the game. But that's a very, very big use in the game, and that's nothing to, you know, just throw out the window. No, that's a huge, huge thing. And honestly, he might even maybe he should be higher in this list. But you know, just with me just talking about it right here, I think he is right here, perfect in the middle, because he's really only great for that. Yeah, you can do some good things in the assault, or rather, in the territory battle missions and whatnot. But really, I don't see that much great use out of him. You know, there's a lot of better teams. I can't talk. Better teams in those TBs, like we just mentioned, the troopers, right? And even the bounty hunters, we can use those guys. So Vader kind of, TB, get him tossed to the side. You don't really need him. But when it comes to countering teams in GACs and TWs, this guy's usability, wow, way through the roof, guys. He is so powerful. So he's number 5 on this list for that reason. Really, that reason alone. GL counters. So that's him. Next up we got here is going to be Darth Revan, and really anybody here from the Sith Empire. More in particular, just these guys. I like these guys the best for, like, you know, offensive teams and sometimes even defensive teams. But you have these guys here, and man, oh man, these guys can counter a lot of stuff as well. They can counter some GLs. They can counter Rays. They can beat up on, I think, the Master Lukes as well. They struggle sometimes versus, I would say, the Emperor and also Kylo's, but they can still beat up the other ones, which is still very, very notable. And also, when it comes to Arena, these guys can help you in beating a lot of those earlier on teams. And I know I usually talk in my content and channel about these endgame type of things, but I want to kind of think about this as well, about these mid-game players as well. Darth Revan, you'll get it fairly mid-game-ish, if that's even a thing to say. You'll get it around the mid-game, right? You'll build them up, and that's your arena team for a good chunk of your time until you get other guys like a Gas unlocked, right? And these other bigger journey guide characters, right? But Darth Revan with arena teams early on in the game is so huge, and that's a pretty big reason as to why they're on this list. They can counter a lot of other stuff in the game. They are a very, very offensive-based team, although you can see them on defense as well. You know, modding them for a lot of speed and health and defense and all that sort of stuff. These guys are still really relevant in the game, and they are really great, and that's why they're on this list. For that reason alone. Also, in the TBs, they are pretty good as well. You know, you can toss in a Emperor Palpatine lead and then use these guys underneath him. Very, very high waves as well. They're just pretty good in really all game modes, and there's nothing really that, you know, that they strive further in than other modes. They are kind of balanced, and that's why I like them so much. They're very balanced in this game. You know, they're nothing super insane, right? But they're nothing, you know, to just, you know, wow, they kind of suck. No, they're really, you know, overall pretty evenly stretched out. They're very, very good. So that's them. And then next up here, we got a few more. This is number 3, I think. Yeah, number 3. Number 3, we have Gas. And Gas and Darth Revan were ones I had a hard time figuring out where I wanted them to be. But at the end of the day, Gas has got to be number 3 here because he is so dang good in countering some teams. Not only is he great with his whole 501st clones, but also you can toss him in with a JKR lead and other such Jedi in the game. And that's just really why I like him a lot more than Darth Revan. Darth Revan can't really flex out as much as a Gas can. Gas can just flex all over the place. He's very flexible. Also, if you wanted to not use Gas here and you want to use just the clones himself, well, you can toss in Shock T as well and then save Gas for a different team. And there you go. That's another great use of these guys. Pretty much why I like them and why they're number 3 on this list is because first and foremost, great in territory battles. These guys, if you want to toss out gas and toss back in Shock T, there's your cam team to get a cam shard. And then if you want to, other missions, you can use this as well and split the GR as well, or the Jedi, whatever way it might want to go. There you go. TB, phenomenal. They're great in TBs. And then also, in GACs and TWs, these guys can beat a lot of stuff as well. They're a very, very strong team still in the game. And I think out of everybody here, of course, the hardest one to get is gas. And gas requires, some of those Padme, some of those separatist droids. And that's why those guys are lower on this list, while then gas is higher on this list, because you got to have those guys first before you can get gas himself. So that's why he's pretty good. Also, 5-star unlock kind of sucks, but you can still use him at 5-star if you had to in arenas and whatnot. Definitely a great use. I've done videos previously talking about the uses you can get out of him at a 5 or 6-star gear level, or star level rather. So that's gas right there. There you guys go. Number 2, however, is this one's a lot to talk about because it's really the whole entire Jedi faction, but more in particular, these guys are going to be really interchangeable, and I'm going to talk about some of the best ones here. So you can do a JKR team with like GMY, Jolie, and then the healers and the supports like these guys. These guys can beat a lot of stuff in the game, and they're very strong. They can, I think, encounter some Grievuses, some Darth Revans, and whatnot. But then, like we just mentioned, if you toss out some of these guys and you want to toss back in like a gas, well, now we're talking about Galactic Legend killer teams. And then if you want to toss in like a Luke, well, then there you go, another GL killer team if you want to use something like this. And then if you wanted to not even use Revan at all, well, then you can do a JKL team with other characters like a faster Shock T. Maybe you want to toss out a Bastila and use a GMY. And like a team like this can do a lot of great things for you in the TB. So the reason why they're number 2 here in this list is because they are so interchangeable. They are the most flexible team, I would say, in faction in the game, because there's so many of them. They can be used in so many different game modes, ranging from TBs to GACs to arenas and to TWs. Everywhere they're going to be useful, and that's why they're so great. So you can use like a JKL lead in some of these assault battles, some of these territory battles, getting you full waves, not even an issue. And then you can also use them in the same instance under, in a GAC format of a game mode where you can kill some, harder teams like a Grievous, maybe some even Darth Revans, and just other such teams like that. So you can counter GLs. You can go and get full waves in TBs, and in arena for climbing as well. They're all great. Everybody here is amazing. Nothing about this is bad. So dang great. So there you guys go there. And then finally, you guys might not like this, but this is the one I thought would be the best one to share with you. CLS and the Rebels. They are number 1. You guys are like, why is this team number 1? Man, they are going to give you probably the easiest 4 out of 4 in TBs for the light side TB. And then also, they can counter 2 GLs, one of which being, actually might even be 3. You can counter Luke's, you can counter sometimes the Emperor, and also you can counter some Kylos at times. So very, very heavy based offensive. Nothing crazy like a Vader, right? But countering some, different variations of GLs, you can still beat them with this team. But their main focus is, in other game modes. In GAC, these are probably one of the best teams in GAC for offenses, and also equally in defense. You toss this exact same team on defense, this will take a very, very hard team to kill. There is nothing more annoying than getting shot first from a Han Solo, and then the whole TM train starts right there with CLS going, and then Chupio going, and then assist after Terminator after Terminator gain. There is nothing more annoying than that in GAC. And then also on the other side, we got the offensive teams they can counter. They can counter a Padme, they can counter Vaders, they can counter a mirror match team with themselves, the JTRs, Grievouses, Night Sisters. So many different teams, guys. GLs are a bit more hindered because it depends on what they might set in GAC, right? But non-GL teams in GAC, these guys, they can beat a lot. Nearly everything besides the GLs, depending on what they might set for GLs, right? And then you got that, and then to wrap it up, back to TW or TBs. Gosh, TBs, they can get you 4 out of 4s with this exact same team. Shooting at the non-B2s first, then you get the extra Terminator from the AoEs. you're good to go. So easy of a 4 out of 4. If you want to talk about fleet a little bit here, they got the Millennium Falcon and the Akbar, you know, from that whole Rebel faction and fleet. It's a great team to start off with. And also late game, you can build up the Bistons U-Wing and then build that team up to kill some negotiators as well. So all the way around the table, they are pretty, I mean, they're all above average, right? But they are especially above average, nearly top tier in GACs, and that's why they're on this list. Also, another pretty big reason as to why they're on this list is because they are not that crazy hard to get. You know, as you just kind of play the game, you know, slow going, whatever you may be, mid game, maybe even some late game players, you're gonna get these guys built up regardless. So they're gonna be a given to you anyways. As to, you know, a gas or a JKL, they're a bit harder to get because they require a lot more. And these teams and these different characters in the Rebel team, they're all going to be kind of given to you as you just kind of progress through the game, as is normally, right? So that's why they're number 1. They're pretty easy to get. They're kind of given to you, right? And they can beat so many things for you in GAC, TWs, arena counters, and also territory battles, guys. So if you guys agree with any of these, or maybe you guys disagree with a lot of these, let me know down below in the comments, or join up in Discord down below in the description, guys. I would love to hear you guys' comments. Again, this is about the 10 best teams overall in the game, with a lot of different game modes in the game, from, you know, ranging from territory battles, territory wars, grand arenas, sometimes arenas and fleet, but mainly about those 3, you know, modes, 2 of them being PvP and 1 being the PvE. So, guys, thank you for watching today's video. Again, I would love your guys' comments and thoughts down below. If you guys would like to help support the channel, we're trying to hit 15,000 subscribers onto the YouTube, so feel free to hit the subscribe button, guys. Also, give it a like and share it around, always helpful. But that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I will see you all later. Peace out, and have a good one.